Welcome to today's presentation. Today, I'll be covering Executive Order number 16 of 1978. Now, you should be aware this is not in the department's patrol guide, but I did put it in my patrol guide because it is an executive order you need to know for all promotional exams, as you'll see in a second. Why was this executive order written? Let me give you a little history. Back in the 1970s, there was a lot of corruption scandals involving city agencies. And Mayor Ed Koch at the time wanted all city employees to be required to report corruption, criminal activity, and a conflict of interest. He wanted to write an executive order that requires city employees to report that type of conduct. So he wrote Executive Order number 16, 1978, and signed it. And now we must all comply with this executive order that's still in effect. And I also want to discuss very quickly the difference between the Inspector General and the Commissioner of Investigation, DOI. It'll help you understand this procedure a little better as we go through it. See, large city agencies have inspector generals. Small city agencies don't have an inspector general, and they are actually covered by the Commissioner of Investigations, DOI. See, they're too small to have a special unit specifically assigned to investigate issues regarding corruption, criminal activity, and a conflict of interest. And that's the difference between Inspector General and the Commissioner of Investigation, the DOI. Why do you need to know this procedure? Because every employee of New York City is expected to know and implement, as part of their job duties, Executive Order number 16 of 1978. Not only that, the order is to be tested in promotional examinations beginning January 1st, 1979. They said every city employee needs to know this executive order, and we're going to even question it on all promotional exams. Is this executive order frequently questioned? Absolutely, absolutely frequently questioned. Is it always questioned? No, not always, but very frequently. Let me give you a little history. Out of the last 12 sergeant exams, it's been on a total of 9 of them, including the last 3. And as per the time of this recording, that was the 2013 sergeant exam, 2017 sergeant exam, and 2022 sergeant exam. Question on all 3 of those sergeant exams. 9 out of 12 exams. And lieutenant's exams, not as much. 2 out of the last 7, specifically the last 2, 2017 and 2023 lieutenant exam, seeing the question on this executive order. So yes, you need to know Executive Order number 16. It is frequently questioned. So over the next 3 slides, we're going to tell you everything you need to know about this executive order. Every employee of New York City shall have an affirmative obligation to report directly and without undue delay 1. Corruption, 2. Other criminal activity, and 3. A conflict of interest. That's right. Now, who does this apply to? It applies to a New York City employee, which concerns his or her office or employment, or a person dealing with New York City, which concerns their dealings with New York City. And really it boils down for our promotional exams. New York City employees, they're going to have to report corruption, criminal activity, and a conflict of interest. And who do they have to report it to? 1, the Commissioner of Investigation, DOI, and or the Inspector General. That's right. You have to report it to either the Commissioner of Investigations, DOI, and or the Inspector General. Now, if you don't report it Are you going to be subject to disciplinary action, including possibly being fired? You will. The knowing failure of any employee to report as required shall constitute cause for removal from employment or other appropriate penalty, subject to disciplinary action, and possibly being fired. And you must cooperate, of course. Every officer or employee of the city shall cooperate fully with the Department of Investigation, DOI, and the Inspector General. And if you interfere or obstruct an investigation, are you going to be subject to disciplinary action and possibly be fired? You will. Interference with or obstruction of an investigation conducted by the Commissioner or an Inspector General shall constitute cause for removal from employment or other appropriate penalty. Disciplinary action. Don't interfere or obstruct an investigation. Now, a very important concept, and this applies for every question on exam day. Most of the time, on your typical promotional exam question, they're going to lock you into a procedure. And for this procedure we're going over, you have to make sure, are they asking you how to report corruption via the patrol guide or via the executive order? Because your answer will change depending upon what procedure they lock you into. When I say that, I'm referring to the last sentence of the question will state, according to Patrol Guide Procedure 207-21, reporting corruption and other misconduct by members of the service, you should do what? That locked you into the patrol guide, and they want you to answer that question as per that patrol guide procedure. It doesn't matter what it says about that topic anywhere else in the guide. All you care is about that procedure and the information on that procedure, and you'll answer the question on that procedure and that procedure alone. I don't care if there are conflicts all over the guide about what they just asked you. You have to answer it as per that patrol guide procedure. And they may ask you, according to Executive Order number 16 of 1978, you have to answer the question based upon the executive order. Doesn't matter what the patrol guide says, they're not asking you about the patrol guide. They lock you into the executive order. So, the problem is about reporting corruption and misconduct. In the patrol guide, your responsibilities are different than reporting corruption, criminal activity, or conflict of interest in the executive order. Because if they lock you into the patrol guide procedure 207-21, reporting corruption or misconduct by a member of the service, you will report it to the Internal Affairs Bureau, Command Center. But question you about corruption, criminal activity, conflict of interest, according to Executive Order number 16 of 1978, you report it to the Commissioner of Investigation, DOI, that's also known as the Department of Investigation, and or the Inspector General. Please note, and or the Inspector General. That's why you must know what procedure that are they locking you into. You have to answer it as per the procedure they locked you into. And if they ask you as per the patrol guide, you will report it to IAP's Command Center. And if they say as per this executive order, you will report it to the Commissioner of Investigations, DOI, and or the Inspector General. So let's go over the typical promotional exam question. And again, this applies to sergeant's exam, lieutenant's exams, and captain's exams. They're going to, in the fact pattern of the question, describe a city employee involved in corruption, involved in criminal activity, or involved in a conflict of interest. And then they're going to lock you in and say, according to Executive Order number 16 of 1978, what should you do? Well, we know we have to report it. Who are you going to be required to report it to? Boom! The Commissioner of Investigations, DOI. Because you're going to look through your choices, and if that is a choice, Commissioner of Investigation, DOI, you choose that as the correct answer. But what happens if you're going through the choices and the Commissioner of Investigation, DOI, is not a choice? Then you look for the Inspector General. And if the Inspector General is a choice That is going to be your answer on exam day. But what happens if you're going through your choices and the Commissioner of Investigation, DOI, is not a choice? The Inspector General is not a choice. Boom! Your answer will be the Commissioner of Investigation, DOI, or the Inspector General. That will be one of the choices. So it's either Commissioner of Investigation, DOI, or Inspector General, or the Commissioner of Investigation, DOI, or the Inspector General. That is going to be your answer on exam day. There it is. Everything you need to know about Executive Order number 16 of 1978. My name is Mike Yanisic. You have any questions, comments, or concerns, feel free to email me at mike@elitestrategictraining.com, or email my son Connor at connor@elitestrategictraining.com, or call us at 516-761-9101. Keep studying, stay focused, and stay motivated. Till next time.